Hi Aries, and welcome to your August 2019 reading. So we are starting with just like info that this is click kind of contest. So the more clicks, more messages, more how this relates and resonates with you is going to get your reading faster. So if you want the faster kind of turnout the next time around, just do exactly that. Okay. You really didn't show that fiery Aries personality this time, as I think you are being number 9 this time around. So let's see how things actually happen next time around. Don't forget, also guys, check your ascendant. In the description you have a link where you can actually get all of that information. Check your moon sign for sure, because this is a general reading, and as a general reading, kind of like things need to be adjusted until they fit perfectly. So, and if you want a reading, then contact me via cattarot.ca. Lastly, if you guys think this really resonates, the messages are meant for you, make sure you subscribe. So, okay, what is for Aries in this period of time? Aries, wow. Aries, 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 Aries. Aries. Wow, you have Temperance in the bottom. Well, Temperance is to me a very interesting card. It's kind of like talking about the union of opposites. Temperance, like before Temperance is death, after Temperance is devil. So it's kind of like stuck right in the middle, and yet it's a very it is angelic card, right? So let me just give you this general meaning for you, and this is your kind of like ground energy. So it's kind of, yeah, what's a go-to when you kind of like feel a bit off or odd in this particular period of time. So this card really talks about balance and peace and patience, but also about moderation. And we know that one thing about you guys, you don't do anything in moderation, right? So keep in mind that Aries is the first fire sign. Then you're going in the next one, which is Leo, and then you're going to Sagittarius. So this is basically the process in the fire signs. Then fire is under air, and then you would go into air signs, which means the energy is going to be even higher, where maybe the main thing is going to be, I want to make this a better world, I really want to make sure that things make sense, where this is like more or less go go go. So you're jumping kind of like 2 levels up in this particular month, if you really wish to say that, right? So your relationships can be very harmonious this month, and I guess this card is going to tell me that you are going to learn not to allow yourself to be kind of dragged into other people's conflict, or let small things kind of like to get you off the balance. You know what they say, don't sweat the small stuff. This can also talk about it, finding that final peace and tranquility, and then you're feeling that zen, kind of like feeling contentment, and you're truly in touch with who you are inside. So also, you're going to have your own moral compass, and it's going to be kind of like finding the inspiration and aspiration inside of yourself to set other goals. When this comes to a relationship thing, this is one of the best cards you can get. It signifies harmonious things where you find this like perfect balance of love with your partner. It's also commitment, it's also respect, and this is also one of the cards that signifies soulmates, right? If you have been having relationship problems and too many verbs in that sentence, then this is an indicator that they are going to be resolved. And you know, if you have been holding your relationship back in order to move forward, this is going forward. We are still in the shadow of Mercury retrograde, so you may have been dealing with some kind of adjustments, or maybe there were issues that happened in your relationship, not necessarily in between the partners, could be outside forces that kind of like pushed you off the track, right? So this is again not only that this is going to be in a relationship, but because the relationship is almost like indicator of everything else that is going on in life. And if you're single, as I said, then the balance that you are able to achieve in your life is going to make kind of like that opening. It's going to be in a room that you can have a loving partner coming in. So when it comes to money, this is a good time to set goals, as you're going to have patience, you're going to have persistence to achieve what you want. So it's also going to be lots of hard work and dedication. And if you're hoping for promotions and career advancement, kind of like it's really telling you, look, be patient, do not jump at the first opportunity, because there's a chance of something better further down the line, right? Keep in mind, nothing before August 15th, we are still under the shadow of Mercury retrograde. You might learn to regret it. You might live to regret it, right? But also be careful to practice moderation in relation to money, as now it's not a time to maintain the balance and build your savings, but rather take risks with money and make kind of like even risky investments. So that goes a little bit different way. I also think this kind of in health would affect, that you're kind of curbing unhealthy habits, and that also you are trying to do a lots of meditations and zen and things that sort of like release stress, Epsom, salt baths, kind of a thing, because that is going to start giving you boost that you need. The month is sort of going to be kind of crowned with you listening to your inner guidance, and you're going to feel very spiritually connected. That angelic kind of expression that we kind of have in this card, it's going to be very prevalent, right? So this is going to be finding right balance between your mind, body, and spirit. So patience, remember about patience as you follow your spiritual path, and know that everything is happening at the pace it is meant to. So no rush, and also no worries. So let's just leave this one out here. And the first card, whoa, that would be the Queen of Cups. Yes, this is Cups, but this doesn't belong to Cups, for those of you who are not familiar with tarot cards. So Queen of Cups is, I think, maybe the other side of that fire. It is like that energy where it's really giving and loving. You usually get into that energy when you can put your swords down, when you put your wands down in tarot, to be more exact, where maybe you have been going through a situation that have been lots of strife, and maybe you have been that kind of like shoulder for the others, where you're feeling a little bit worn out in the process. You're feeling, hey, what about me? I need kind of like a little bit of comfort. I need a little bit of other people listen to me. As I said, it looks like that you're on a path already of some kind of transformation. It looks like that you're already kind of like pushing toward certain goals, but you are taking long-term goals in mind. Like, this is not necessarily that I'm getting it here. The Queen of Cups could be telling me also that it could be a new person coming into your life, somebody who would really provide a little gentle kind of like essence, and somebody who is going to be very different. While you're like, let's do this stuff, let's do that, I'm a protector, I'm a go-getter, like you have like all this strong qualities being the first sign in horoscope, but like you have to understand that there are like so many different layers that they're moving forward, right? And one of them is like being able to express your emotions, which sometimes you hide, and you hide it because it gets difficult for you to really go in that space. You have that card crossed, oh my gosh, with an Emperor. So I really think, and this is you guys, it's a person coming in your life, and this person is going to be a really good fit, right? And it's kind of gentle approach with kind of like knowing what to do. It almost looks like that you might be in one of those classical relationships, right, where female brings the best female can have, like emotions and nurturing and care for the kids, and where man brings money and power. Very, very traditional, and neither of the people will have a problem with that, right? I'm not here for or against, guys. Whatever works for you. It's not my cup of tea, but this is a good fit from what I see over here. Keep in mind there is like Temperance. It's like now your card is coming here through. So what I have here at the bottom, whoa, I have Slay the Dragon card here. It could be some kind of like residues of the past. Look at these dudes running. Ah, dragon. Not this guy here. This guy is saying, look, I am not going to let you. So this Five of Swords, which kind of talks about readjustment. Readjustment happens when, you know, you really want to get somewhere. You really want to achieve something. But mature Aries will ask themselves, at what cost? Immature are going to just go with their head through the wall. So that is what's going to be a difference. Which one are you going to be? The one that is like running away, or the one that is like standing and fighting? Because this is something extremely important, and this card also talks about some kind of victory. It could be gaining some insight, it could be gaining some understanding of yourself, it could be simply kind of like looking in a direction where you understand that you're above, I don't know, let's say possibly some other people in your vicinity. Keep in mind also there's always a losing side, and something to understand here is also how these guys are going to feel later, what their stories will be, what your story will be. In this moment when you're doing that, you're probably not thinking about being a hero, and in this moment they're just trying to save their, like, I mean, soul, save their life. But what happens when the battle is over? How is that story going to be created over here? Are they going to say, well, no, we saw it didn't happen, in order to make themselves better? Or are you going to say, I was like top of the world, etc.? Like, you see, this is kind of the card about this graciousness, right? So it can talk about the defeat and humiliation. Maybe these cards are showing through that maybe you'll have to help somebody save their face in the situation. Well, the next, let me see what is the fast foundation of how prior to the August. So what took you over here? Mercury retrograde. It took me just about 5 hours before I'm getting to this point, but anyway, we are finally on the past. So let's see what is this all about. Whoa, you have the Empress. What's up, Aries? What's going on over here? These are like this is to me a couple. It could be even a threesome. It could be that now things are changing. Actually, now when I look at it, you slay the dragon, you kind of like acted with patience over here. That was on the bottom. This is clearly a couple, and it could be that some of you are in a situation that you have two suitors. It could be that simply some energy shifted. It could be that somebody who you kind of like put on a pedestal, and you know how you guys are when you date, oh, the person is so perfect, and you actually feel that you are imperfect, right? And they're ruling. This is like the ultimate feminine and the ultimate masculine. But then you realize you actually really like that one particular thing. Not so much the strength. It kind of like almost like looks to me that it could be the same person as well. That this kind of energy that is shifting into something that is like kind, into something that is loving, maybe even psychic, maybe something that you are really appreciating. It is kind of like, as I told you initially, kind of the energies kind of like that fit together are really, really interesting over here, right? So keep in mind the Empress again has this initial kind of like natural urge to create. It's this kind of creative force. It's kind of like fertility. It could be ideas. It could be that somebody got pregnant and now you're like really enjoying this like full kind of like evolution kind of like of the situation. It can also talk about Mother Nature, maybe kind of like spending lots of time outside. Now, like this actually can mean, especially when it comes to your business, that you have these people who are really authority to you. Maybe you're working for a family-oriented business over here, guys. As I said, like, I mean, it's increase of energy. Increase of energy in your case means that you are getting into that kind of like balanced, patient state. And this person is like really patient. This person is very balanced. So maybe you're simply kind of like keeping the step. So they cannot move as fast as you want, but you're realizing how loving and how gentle this entire energy could be, and you're really enjoying, let's say, enjoying the ride, right? So that is like really amazing. Or, as I said, for some of you, that can mean that there is like a kind of like situation where it could be a third party. It could be that there is a second woman, for example, even though it can represent a man, being that's a general reading. And I mean, we see this like motive of 3 over here as well. So it's simply can talk, and I really don't think this is that much about the exes, except that one person is in the past. Maybe you guys are dating someone who just like wants like one of those women, right, who kind of just very physical, kind of like look and gentle. It's always there for them, where you kind of like really like maybe to have just the opposite, as I told you, right? Just you want to have a very kind of like strong, like, I mean, kind of like head-to-head partner. This also could mean that you feel that, like, I mean, that somebody feels that has to measure up to somebody from the past, right? And kind of like, how is this done? This is done with kind of like additional, well, I'm strong, I'm secure, and that kind of like stuff. Especially for the Aries. For Aries is born in April, that situation to feel secure, to feel, you know, like that almost masculine is very very strong. So it almost looks like maybe last month your energy was very emotional, your energy was very nourishing, where this month you're shifting into kind of like, hey, I get it, I have a control of the situation. The above energy, oh my god, we're having a 3, we're having a 4, and we're having a 5. So it's kind of like you're jumping grades, right? So you don't want to just go and take your material, really jumping. And these kind of like trinity over here, you see, kind of, she represents the feminine principle, he represents the masculine principle, but she also represents the emotional world, where he represents the, let's say, intellect and kind of like cool head kind of a thing. But this is a counterbalance that's almost like, you know, that we entered kind of like a check-in of the system. If something goes wrong and, you know, she pushes over, so everything is emotional or everything is like just overly kind of logical, then this kind of like morality checks in, right? So these are checks and balances that possibly we as humans discovered, because the Hierophant represents clergy, represents rules, represents your priest, your imam, whatever you are kind of following. So this is showing that these are the most powerful, basically, faces in the entire deck. But this also, guys, can talk about these two fellows being married. Maybe you're having marriage on mind. Maybe you're wondering how things would happen. Maybe somebody's married in this situation. It is extremely interesting. Oh my gosh, this is like feeling like a dream, like I'm reading a thriller or something of a sort. And when Hierophant is above you, this again can talk about your boss, who might have kind of like, who might be studying you under the microscope kind of a thing, kind of like really seeing how you are. And you see, as it goes, as gradation, it goes from 3 in the past to 4 in the future. So this is kind of like what is on your mind over here. So it can show that you're really generating momentum. Also, what is really important to note over here, that in tarot, 3 is the beginning point, not 1, 3. and this is where you're deciding to embark on your journey. That's why this represents creativity, because you need to have that spark to go forward, right? So that emotion is what pushes us in certain direction, and then we are saying, okay, let's see it from different sides. So let's continue and see what is like immediately ahead of you. Wow, somebody is like resting. Nine of Cups is kind of like that well-earned kind of like, okay, stop and smell the roses kind of a thing, right? Because, you know, maybe you need to kind of like enjoy life. Maybe you need to kind of like comfort yourself like with a good cake or something. But this is clearly saying that you're going to feel well accomplished, that you're going to feel, hey, you know, I know what I'm doing. This is really interesting because I can see kind of like somebody shaving that edge from you, and that edge could be sometimes too hard to absorb, because you're like just like packed dynamo over there. So this peaceful and kind of like sometimes too much edge is just like not there. You're becoming so traditional. Remember how I said that there's like this traditional component, except we'll have to clarify this woman and to see what's hiding behind that later, right? So we'll see. So the next is going to be kind of like what you kind of like feel from inside. What are the inner kind of like processes and influences? Oh my gosh, that will be the Lovers. That is 6. I swear I didn't look at the cards. I just don't even know how the heck this can happen. Oh my gosh, major and major. This is not the major. This is not the major. What is going on? 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. There is something that happened, guys. I mean, I have to tell you that Temperance has the same kind of flavor as this card. They're both 5s. I mean, they're both talking about the spiritual influences. Just, I mean, telling you this. So in tarot, there is like the story. There is a story about Fool that is kind of like meeting all of these characters and getting some kind of like morsels of wisdom, like while going through the process. So of course, tarot is starting with a woman, and then God made a woman, and then he made a man in tarot. It's the other way around. And then they have to follow the certain rules. So these rules are issued to them, right? But then, you know, as Fool travels and he learns all these rules, as you can see, he's like in a school kind of like trying to figure out how to apply it in order to kind of like obtain peace, because it's much easier if you subscribe to different rules. This also can talk about you dating somebody with whom you feel comfort, with whom you feel, we are both thinking alike, this is good, we both like family life, right? You kind of like you prescribe to the same lifestyle, you have the same kind of core beliefs. So this is like what is good instead of those big lists what you do. But then here it is like Fool told all of that stuff, right? In a previous case, it's a high priestess. She's kind of like, I'm going to check you out. Are you good? Are you bad? A magician who kind of told him how to get around on this planet. But then he meets this beautiful woman. And he knows he was told not to eat an apple. He was told, like, right, not to get into temptation. He was told you still have way to go, but look at how many apples are there. So this is also telling me that you are going to be taken by someone. Like there is like a big papa, 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 the heart pounding. There is like something coming to the surface. For those of you who already have a relationship, and I can see that, maybe this is kind of describing you as a single and you as in a couple, you might be taken to the next level. There could be marriage on the horizon, could be proposal, but I really think if you meet somebody that is going to be so serious, very serious, but it's also saying patience. Like, I mean, Rome was not built in a day kind of a thing, right? Because this card talks about this choice. And when it's upright, you're choosing the unity. You're choosing to be happy with this person, right? It's kind of like here you're feeling comfort with yourself. You're feeling, oh my gosh, things are going my way. Everything is happening. it's almost like you're on the airplane. Like I'm seeing this like really big uplift in your energy, big uplift in how you are like corresponding with the other people. This is a lovely card when it's upright to get, and it's really talking about that essence of understanding. Yes, all of these aspects are important. Like woman is important and men is important, and when they kind of like come together, this kind of like gives that magic. And at the same time, rules have to be part of that. It's like a cooking, basically a meal, right? You are matching good ingredients that are going well together, and then magic happens, and like you're feeling really actually self-satisfied about that kind of accomplishment, because of course you had to slay the dragon first, right? Because you had to get all this kind of like power out of your body. And let's see the environment. And I did pick, that's what I saw, major arcana. So this really talks about, yeah, it's an additional card of marriage. So now I do see you might actually receive a proposal, guys. Check it out. And it could be well, this is the thing, that's possibly why you got a Temperance card. It could be a whirlwind romance. It could be something happening so freaking fast, because in 1 month things can actually go to that point. Because you guys, when you like something, you see it, you take it. That's kind of a thing. This also can talk about a child, right? Because both of these women would be kind of like very motherly types in tarot. And if you're pregnant, or if somebody's pregnant, most likely they are like, carrying a boy. And the sun is also talking about a happiness, and the happiness is going to be brought to your life. You almost like have this like reading that is example that I should give, and I should probably save this reading, that how the reading can turn out to be great. Maybe I should not say jump before I see all the cards, but this is wonderful. You're going to be loving toward the environment is going to be loving toward you. I see here like huge level of commitment. So guys, if you're single, get off sitting on your hands, just do something, because this is the month to really look for. There is something really going on, and the universe is really looking at you, really looking at you. The proposal could happen, and at the very least this time it's going to make you happy. It could be that somebody needs to release somebody in order to move forward, because it doesn't look like here they're actually bad choices. Not at all. It looks like everything jives, absolutely everything. So let's see if you have any hopes and fears. Yeah, you see, this now doubles with the same energy, 13, 1 and 3, 4, and then we have this, right, that is doubling in energy as well. So this is death, and that upright is actually not a bad card, but it's again saying something has to end before something else can start. Maybe some of you, this could simply mean that you're married or separated, and this has to be officially cleared, because you're the sign who is not going to say, oh, I'm separated for 7 years, and oh, who cares, no big deal, blah blah blah. No, you want complete clarity. You want this clean cut, move on, move forward in a good direction, because this is a card of transformation, but this is falling in the hopes and fears, and when it does, it kind of goes up and down. So this is really telling you that decisions have to be made that could be, again, it's really interesting, because 4 over here is like very non-emotional card, but this card can be very emotional. In fact, when it kind of looks as a fear, maybe you're going to get cold feet in the last moment. Maybe you're going to go, oh my gosh, if it doesn't go good, I'm going to suffer, and everybody will know. It's kind of like something like that is crossing your mind. So it is very important to acknowledge this, right? Because this belongs to sign Scorpio, and if things don't go well, this is a very challenging card. It is a fixed sign. Whenever you get fixed cards, which you did over here, it's in the same vertical, and this, you're getting 3 fixed. You only didn't get the star card, which represent Aquarius. which is really telling me that you are pushing some completion. But before you kind of like get there, you will actually need to go through that change and transformation, because this is both ending and the beginning. It's a transition, but it could be also some kind of resistance and stagnation, or even obsession. Maybe that obsessive quality that you really want, because something really nice happened to you. It kind of like, it feels like a hungry person who is finally getting this amazing meal, and you want everything. You just don't want to stop eating because everything is so freaking fabulous. So what can I say? Enjoy it, guys, you know, because this card is definitely talking about this transformation and the reminder that must shed what's old and familiar. It could simply mean that you're shifting from being single to being married, or maybe moving in together with someone, right? Breaking old habits. Like there is like something that maybe you just realized that you met a person who is like, all of a sudden you feel different, you think different, and you go, you know, George Clooney, how he never wanted to get married and all these women tried to catch him. I mean, is he Aries? No, I think he's Taurus, if I remember well, but you correct me, guys, if I'm wrong. And I think he was dating like an Aries at one point, and she was patient. At one point, said, forget it. She got married, and he said, no, we'll never get married. And then he met this Aquarian lady. He was swept off his feet. Within 2 months, he was married. And it just, things click at some point. You might be dead set of, I'm not doing it, this is too much, too complicated, but then things happen. So just keep in mind that something has to be shed in order to kind of whole process move forward. And then you have the Six of Swords. There is like a final, we are moving, that's a destination. So now there are 2 sixes, and sixes are definitely talking about the soulmate. And in this particular card, it is really telling me that somebody's leaving a situation, and you see how everything kind of like ties up together. She might be leaving an abusive situation. She's definitely kind of from a wealthy family, and she's with a child. It could be you, and kind of looking in a much better situation, a much better place. These swords, this is not the best way to kind of like carry them in the boat, because of course they can create the leakage and sink the whole freaking thing. But we also have the lotuses over here on the surface of the pond. And I really think there is like this whole structure that is really happening, that she is in anticipation of something moving forward. This also can talk about travel. This also can talk about making a final decision. Yes, something needs to happen, right? Because again, it is connecting to the Lover's card, and it's also mirroring each other. So there is like somebody who is going to really feel happy, and really feel not happy in a sense, yeah, I did it, but you know, that mellow happiness that you have when you have love. And these 2 cards are really speaking love and love and love. And then you have like these 2 sixes, which are definitely soulmate card. So there's like something really happening, that some situation maybe that has been very tangled is clearly helping and going in a new direction, which is really helpful in order to move forward. So let me clarify just a few cards that we can know. So let's talk about, see why you really needed to slay this dragon. I really want to know what's about the dragon thing over here. Oh, what is about this dragon? What is about this situation? And look at that, it's a thief. It's a thief. It's kind of like maybe somebody infiltrated themselves in your relationship. Remember, this was like your general energy. Maybe somebody felt like external threat, and it was really need to kind of like defend that. But in doing that, it also kind of like re-energized the whole thing. If you're single, then this card could indicate that, you know, maybe somebody stole your boyfriend in the past, that you're still not over it, and you're still kind of like dealing with the consequences of those actions. the officer is the same as Hierophant over here. Kind of like, hey, you know, certain rules need to exist. We need to kind of like work together and kind of coexist together. Very important to note over here. So let's see the Death card over here. And I really think that's pretty much all we need to know. Maybe the Six of Swords. And here we're talking money and money. I guess, you know, issue is maybe how to pay for the wedding. Maybe issue is there's like clearly financial issues. You have money and you have some money. Like only two cards that talk about money. So maybe you're starting a new job. Maybe this whole thing is like talking about both love and job, or simply kind of like moving in a different environment, and all of a sudden all doors are really opening and showing, and you're like saying to yourself, why I didn't do this before? Why did I have to wait? And kind of like what is going on with all of this, right? So let me check that Six of Swords over there. Six of Swords. Okay. And the Six of Swords is, we have melody, or I see this more or less as depression. Interestingly, I had the same combination, and I usually separate the cards when I put it there. So I really think this is really talking about the what she's leaving. Maybe this person came from environment where she was abused, or where she kind of like really felt she cannot cope anymore. She might be also a widow in the situation. Oh yeah, I want to check this chick over here to see who is this person. So I guess she's really being true to herself, and it could be that somebody just have been going through a traumatic experience, and finally it is a time to move on. So yes, this entire situation can talk about you not feeling or ready to open, ready to jump in, ready to kind of like feel the world is your oyster kind of a thing. So let me see this Queen of Cups. She's the only one that kind of like I'm a little bit iffy about. So what is about this Queen of Cups? Unexpected joy and misfortune. Why did misfortune come here? So something hasn't been built properly, and maybe because it hasn't been built properly, this Tower card, this misfortune, is akin to Tower over here, except it really it's kind of really weird. I think they're like negating each other. So, and again, I'm not getting the answer. Yeah, this is negation again. It's like something about money. I'm wondering if this is an ex-partner who maybe had still some expectations of something happening, and this is really saying, okay, let's talk about money. If this is an issue, if this is what you think, we need to be here. So you're really cleaning the slate, you're really clarifying everything. Okay, let's divide and let's move forward, but you have no fear. Even though like you have to give part of your money, you are really moving forward, and you're really moving forward toward your happiness. So guys, I don't know what to tell you. This is a really phenomenal reading. You're going to have a wonderful month, and I want to be invited to this wedding, and I want to know what is going on. So make sure leave your comments, and make sure that like your sign gets read like faster next month, so we can know like what is the continuation of this beautiful love story. And this is like 100% your soulmate. I don't know what else to say to you. It's really it's lovely, guys. Also make sure you check, as I said, ascendant, and check your moon sign. And to get your private read, check me out on cattarot.ca, and my email is down in the description if you really want to communicate to me. That would be lovely, and I love you, and all the best, and I'll talk to you soon.